Good afternoon, everybody. Brent Franklin with Rise Petroleum. We are here at our Lavaca Rodent Properties in Lavaca County, 17 miles north of Edna. Today, I'm going to explain to you how we make the cash register ring over here at our sales meter. So I'm going to explain to you the process of how gas comes out of the ground, through a meter, through a compressor, is separated, dried, and sold to the market. So let's take a look. Okay, guys. What's behind me right here is what's called a separator and a dehy. Out there in the field, there are wells that have natural gas that we own that are blowing gas up, and it's also being sucked on and pulled by what we have behind us, which is called a compressor. I'm going to get to that in just a second. I want to walk you through the ladder of how this is taken out of the ground, dried, compressed, and then sold. Out in the field, we have what's called our flow line. This is our flow line, and it ties into what we have, which is called a separator. The separator does exactly what its name says. It separates. It separates water, oil, and then gas out the top. Now, in the earth, water, oil, and gas live together in certain formations. So how do we break them apart? How do we put our oil in our oil tank, our gas in our pipeline, and our water in our water tank? It's very simple. The fluids, gas, and hydrocarbons flow into this three-stage separator, and water is the heaviest, so it stays on the bottom. So if you look at the bottom of our well, we have a gauge right here. This flows over to our water tank. Any of the oils that are in it float on top of the water and go over to our oil tank, which this property does not make oil, so we have it just capped off. Our gas, which is compressed with pressure, goes up through the top, comes down through the bottom, and comes over here to this bad boy, which is called our dehy. Dehy stands for dehydration system. And if you take a look in the end of this, we've actually got fire burning directly off of our natural gas out of the ground. And what this dehy is doing is it's taking the last bit of moisture. It's taking the last bit of moisture that's left in this gas, and it's burning off the moisture. And if this gas was high BTU or liquid rich, we would have a little barrel over here where we would be collecting our liquid rich minerals or whatever we pull out of the ground. There's lots and lots of different hydrocarbons where they make different kind of plastics, they make different fuels. These are very, very, very valuable if you have high BTU gas. Fortunately, this is shallow dry gas. This is methane, 800 BTU. And so we're going to show you exactly how the compressor works. Once you get your gas separated and dried, it has to go somewhere. This gas is sold through a pipeline that is owned by Enterprise, and we sell our gas to the East Houston Ship Channel. Once it comes through, all the wells have different pressures. One thing that remains the same is the pressure of the line where they all combine. Our line pressure on this is right at 130 pounds. The problem is that our pipeline has to have 1,000 pounds of gas in order to inject it to be able to go in. It allows gas to come in, but it does not allow gas to come out. And the reason for it is because it has what's called a stop valve on it. It has to be at a certain PSI to go out, and it will not allow anything to come back in it. So our compressor that's over here takes our dried gas, it takes it and it compresses it, which it's running off of natural gas. It takes it from 150 pounds and it compresses it, and it makes it 950 pounds, and it shoots it across the street to what's called our sales meter. Now let's go take a look at this. If you've ever been in a neighborhood and you've seen white signs just like this under the ground that says natural gas pipeline, what that is pipes that is under the ground by a pipeline company. That is natural gas traveling right below your feet all over the United States, and you might not even know that it's coming from distributors and producers just like myself. Now I want to explain to you how this gas is sold and how it's calculated. I want to do a quick recap. Once the gas comes out of the ground, goes over to our separator, is separated, and then is dried, it goes into the compressor. The compressor takes that gas, compresses it, and sends it across the street to our sales meter. Now, this sales meter is set up by the pipeline. If you don't pay the bills, you don't get a pass go, you don't get to collect $200. This could be missing off a lot of leases right here. These are very expensive to set up. The pipeline doesn't like anybody, and they like money a lot more than us. So they charge about $100,000 to $150,000 to come out here and set this up if it's removed. So, especially if you don't have a tap, you might have wells that you see out in the field where there's a big flame out there. The problem is there's no pipeline there, or the operator cannot afford to tie into that pipeline, so they have no choice but to burn off the gas to be able to produce their oil out of the well. Fortunately for us, this is a natural gas field and we have our meter intact. I want to show you what we're selling and how we're making money right now. So this shows you our volumes. It shows you our year-to-date volumes. This shows you the time, the date. It's also going to show you the voltage. We have solar panels on this to keep our batteries charged. It's going to show you the meter input, what kind of fluid's coming in, the line pressure 961, and then it's going to show you what we're producing, which we're flowing 503 million cubic feet of gas a day. Now, I opened up a couple wells earlier, so it might kill down the production a little bit. This one is typically running between 500 and 700 a day, depending on how much water we're producing. Gas comes in, gas comes out. Right now, I have these wells choked back on an adjustable choke, so I can actually control how much gas I send through this meter. So if you were to take $5 gas and times it by 500 MCF a day, that's $2,500 a day in cash flow that this property is generating solely off gas.